Imagine if the greatest advantage of the wealthy wasn't money itself, but how they made money behave. They learned to make it obedient, predictable, quietly multiplying in the background while they slept. Most people see wealth as a mountain to climb, exhausting and full of risk. But for the truly wealthy, it's more like building a machine. Once it's built, it runs itself. Let's start with something invisible but powerful: a trust. When most people hear that word, they think of lawyers, old money, or complicated paperwork. But a trust is simply a vault with a brain. It doesn't just hold money. It protects it, grows it, and controls how it's passed down. Imagine this: you own a family company, but instead of putting everything in your own name, you put it into a trust. Now legally, you don't own that money anymore, but you still control it. You can move it, invest it, or grow it without the usual risks that come when someone sues you or the economy collapses. Your paper net worth might say 15 million, but behind layers of trusts, the real number could be 10 times higher. It's like playing chess while everyone else is stuck on checkers. The point isn't to hide wealth, it's to make wealth survive. Because a lawsuit can't drain what you no longer legally own, and death taxes can't bite into what never technically passes through your hands. So when the founder of a family empire passes away, their children don't just inherit money. They step into the role of trustees, caretakers of something that's meant to last. That's how fortunes live longer than people. But the wealthy don't stop there. They take it further by using tools that seem boring at first glance, like life insurance. Most people buy life insurance to protect their family when they're gone. The wealthy buy it to protect their family while they're alive. They treat it like a private bank. They pour in money far more than normal people can, letting it grow tax-free. Then when they need cash, they borrow from it, not from a bank that charges them high interest. Say you have a policy worth $1 million. You borrow $100,000 against it. You pay maybe 3% interest. You invest that borrowed money into something earning 7%. Your policy keeps growing at 5% in the background. You profit from both directions. That small gap between what you pay and what you earn becomes an infinite loop of compounding. It's called an arbitrage of opportunity, but you can think of it as using money's reflection to make more of it. And because the borrowed money isn't technically income, the taxman can't touch it. When they pass away, the insurance money flows right back into the trust. The cycle resets. Future generations don't start from zero. They start from momentum. Now here's the part most people miss. You don't need billions to build the same mindset. Start by changing how you think about inheritance. A will gives people money once. A trust teaches people how to protect it forever. Even if you're just starting out, you can write a small trust. You can begin with an investment account or a property. The principle is the same. Make your money last longer than you do. Think about it this way. When you hand your kids cash, you give them fuel. When you hand them a system, you give them a power plant. Generational wealth isn't built by luck. It's built by design. And that design starts with patience and the refusal to play the short game. So what comes next after the trust? The blueprint continues with how you spend, how you borrow, and how you never let taxes or inflation drain your foundation. We'll start with a strategy that billionaires whisper about: buy, borrow, die. You buy assets that grow, stocks, real estate, anything that appreciates over time. Then instead of selling them, you borrow against them. That's the trick. When you sell, you pay tax. When you borrow, you don't. Let's say you bought an apartment years ago for $200,000. Now it's worth $1 million. You could sell and pay capital gains tax, or you could borrow half its value, get $500,000 in cash, and still keep the apartment. You spend that borrowed money, reinvest it, or simply enjoy it. When you die, your heirs inherit that property at its new value, not what you paid for it. The taxes vanish like a shadow at sunset. That's the kind of invisible game the rich play while the rest of us chase paychecks. They let appreciation do the heavy lifting, borrowing instead of selling, and dying instead of paying. But before you think this is unreachable, understand the mindset. The idea isn't to copy billionaires, it's to learn from their rhythm. When your money works quietly, when your debts are strategic, and when your growth is protected from panic, that's when you start thinking like them. Money loves structure, it loves direction, it hates chaos. So give it rules, give it a plan, and it will follow you. Now let's shift from the big picture to the everyday. Because wealth that survives must first exist, and that means income, multiple streams of it. The wealthy treat income like rivers. One dries up, another keeps flowing. You don't need to own empires to start. You can build side streams, a small business, a digital product, rental income, dividend stocks, or even a specialized skill that compounds your earning power. Each stream starts small, but over time they connect, forming a delta that feeds your financial ocean. Reinvest part of each stream back into itself. Let your profits plant new seeds. The goal isn't to hustle forever. It's to build an ecosystem that runs with minimal effort. Automation helps with that. Set your savings and investments on autopilot. Remove willpower from the equation. Every time you get paid, money should already know where it's going. Part to build, part to protect, part to grow. When saving and investing become automatic, discipline becomes irrelevant. Your system doesn't need your permission anymore. It just runs. Imagine logging into your account years later and realizing the system worked quietly, turning drops into an ocean. That's what automation buys you. Not just returns, but peace. Still, growth means little if taxes take half of it. The wealthy know this better than anyone, so they play defense too. They use tax advantage accounts. They donate strategically. They invest in areas where governments reward participation, like clean energy or affordable housing. Taxes aren't evil, but ignoring them is expensive. Every dollar saved in taxes is a dollar that can compound again. And when you compound over decades, that $1 can become 10. Now let's talk about the backbone of all this. The ability to leverage what you already have, not just financial leverage, but people, knowledge, and technology. When you surround yourself with those who are sharper in their field, you multiply your effectiveness. When you use technology to remove repetitive tasks, you multiply your time. Think of leverage as a ladder. Each rung represents a new way to reach higher without jumping. That's why the wealthy rarely work harder. They work from better systems. They also leverage one thing that never goes out of style: knowledge. Information compounds faster than money when you apply it. Every book read, every conversation with someone smarter, every mistake learned from becomes a multiplier for everything else you do. The wealthy treat knowledge like currency. They don't just collect it, they deploy it. They hire mentors, study failures, and keep a curious mind long after others think they've made it. That's the real compound interest, curiosity that never stops paying dividends. Now, once your systems are in place, once your income streams hum quietly in the background, the next phase is simple: protection. Because it's one thing to make money, it's another to keep it safe from time, temptation, and taxes. A simple rule: automate what matters most. Set a percentage of your income to go directly into investments before you ever see it. That money isn't yours to spend, it's your future's salary. When you automate investing, emotions can't interfere. You don't panic during market dips, and you don't get greedy during surges. The system keeps you steady while everyone else reacts. Think of it like an autopilot that flies your financial plane through turbulence. You still choose the destination, but you don't grab the controls every time there's a bump. Next, simplify your financial life. Too many accounts, too many subscriptions, too many distractions. They leak energy. The rich know that focus is a form of capital. Fewer moving parts mean fewer mistakes. Now, let's talk about the silent enemy: taxes. The goal isn't to avoid them. The goal is to understand the rules better than those who wrote them. Every country gives incentives for specific behaviors. The government says, if you help us with this, we'll help you keep more of your money. That's what tax codes really are: behavioral rewards disguised as paperwork. Retirement accounts, business expenses, charitable giving, even real estate depreciation. All of these are ways to keep wealth circulating instead of leaking. The difference between the average worker and the wealthy often isn't how much they earn, but how much they keep. A rich person and a middle-class person might both make $100,000 a year, but one pays $40,000 in taxes. The other pays $10,000 legally and reinvests the rest. That $20,000 or $30,000 gap compounds every single year, quietly widening into millions over a lifetime. Then there's another layer: investing in things that create both income and impact. Funding renewable energy projects, affordable housing, or local businesses can lower your taxes and improve the world around you. When done right, your wealth isn't just preserved, it becomes productive. This brings us to the heartbeat of generational wealth: building something that outlives you, an evergreen business. You've seen the names: Bosch, Ford, Chanel, Louis Vuitton, Guinness. They didn't just build products, they built meaning, a story, a standard that people trusted for decades. If you want to build something timeless, you must think beyond profit. Focus on usefulness. on consistency, on values that can be passed down as easily as bank accounts. Money fades faster than reputation. A good name compounds too. Start by asking, what would I want my grandchildren to inherit? A pile of cash or a system that generates more? If you build something that solves problems, your descendants won't need to reinvent the wheel. They'll just maintain the engine. That's why many family empires survive. They didn't just hand down wealth, they handed down playbooks. Your name can be that legacy, even if it's a small business, a book, a brand, or a digital product that teaches something valuable. It can last longer than you do. But for that to happen, clarity matters. You can't build a legacy if you don't know what you're aiming for. So set clear financial goals, not vague dreams like I want to be rich. Be precise. Ask yourself, what does freedom look like? Is it quitting your job at 40, paying off your parents' home, traveling without checking the price of flights? Define it, then reverse engineer it. Goals become achievable when they have a timeline, a number, and a reason. Without a reason, goals are just wishes. Without a timeline, they're just noise. If your goal is to reach financial independence in 10 years, break that into smaller steps. How much do you need each month? How much can you save automatically? What can you invest that compounds quietly while you focus on life? The wealthy don't make decisions randomly. They move by plan. Even their risks are calculated. That's why building generational wealth isn't about greed. It's about design. It's about ensuring that your kids start where you left off, not where you began. And that starts today with what you decide to do after hearing this. Maybe it's setting up that first automatic transfer. Maybe it's reading about trusts instead of dismissing them as for rich people. Maybe it's starting a small business that teaches your kids about patience and responsibility. Small moves compound. Small habits echo for decades. Remember this, wealth isn't loud. It's quiet, consistent, and long-term. It doesn't rush, it doesn't brag, and it doesn't need to show off. If you can learn to make your money behave with the same calm energy, your wealth will eventually outgrow your lifetime. That's when you'll know you've mastered the passive path. Your money will work, your systems will protect, your values will endure, and generations from now, someone will look back and thank you, not for the fortune, but for the foundation. If this message sparked something in you, don't let it fade when the video ends. Take one small step today toward building the life you want. Automate a saving, read about a trust, start that side project. The best time to start was years ago, but the second best time is right now. If you found value in this video, give it a like. It tells the algorithm you care, and it helps this message reach others who might need it. Subscribe to The Passive Path if you want more lessons on money, mindset, and freedom that actually last. Leave a comment below and share one thing you're going to act on today, big or small. It's your first move toward financial independence. And if you know someone who's trying to make sense of money, share this video with them. You never know, it might change how they see their future. Good luck on your journey. Keep going, keep learning, and keep building a life that works quietly in your favor. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.